today we are going to talk about the past simple or simple past versus the past continuous. This is a practical guide to English tenses. You might have heard a noise, don't worry about that. For those of you in Korea, you can see we have the Korean subtitles. I got that fixed. But yeah, let's just move on. And if you have any questions, let me refresh this so I can look at the chat. Just a second. Go.
You remember.
And we have an ad going. Sorry about that. If you don't have any ads running because you are following or subscribing, just please wait. Okay, you can skip now the ad. Okay, so we're back from the ads. And let's continue with the simple past versus the past continuous. All right. So, this is an introduction to the past tenses in English grammar. There are many forms of the past. We're going to start with the basic simple past, past continuous. We're going to talk about the simple past first, show some examples. Past continuous, so a couple of examples comparing the two, and then we'll have like a little 5-sentence fill in the blank exercise at the end. But again, I'm keeping an eye on the chat if anybody like to say anything or just say hi. I'm here. All right, move on. All right, introduction of the past tenses. All right, so this is an overview. Verb tenses in any language indicate the timing and nature of actions. Right? So in English, it's a clear communication of events. Of course, we're going to focus on the past tense, which describe actions that have already happened and are finished and done. They have no connection to now. That is for another stream. All right, so why is it important? All right, so using the past tense correctly makes sure that there's no misunderstanding when you communicate what you saw in the past, what you did in the past, or something you heard about in the past, basically in the past. And it's also clear that the event is finished. It happened before now and it's done. So, and here we have the ongoing or interrupted actions. This is expressing ongoing or interrupted actions in the past, clarifying timing and context of event. All right, let's get into it. Let's just get right into it. The simple past. Here we go. So, the the simple past. Okay, you have two forms of the simple past. I need to hydrate here. Oh, I got some water in me. All right. So we all know that in the past, the verbs are changed to indicate or show that the action happened in the past. Now, when the verbs changed, we have the regular verbs and we have the irregular verbs. Regular verbs in the past usually end in irregular verbs in the past do not. They follow a different form. They do not end in ed. And yes, I will be showing you some examples. Here are some examples of regular verbs ending in ed in the past. I walked to the park yesterday. She cooked delicious food last night. They watched a movie on Saturday. He visited, sorry. He visited his grandparents last weekend. We played soccer after school. Those are just regular verbs with an ed ending in the past. So I think you guys know what's coming next. Irregular verbs in the past. Uh, Here are 5 examples. I went to the store yesterday. She ate a sandwich for lunch. They took a trip last summer. He began a new job last week. We saw a beautiful sunset. All right. How do you know when a verb is a regular verb, meaning ed in the past, and when it's an irregular verb in the past? Uh, Practice. I guess one way would be reading a lot and practice using English. Uh, I know there probably aren't many places, or there might be, I don't know, who's watching the stream, but yeah, if you're at a school or university, if there isn't an English club, maybe you can start one. Uh, but yeah, my best advice would be watching movies and dramas in English and reading, even if it's just simple little things. And then you will start to recognize regular verbs in the past and irregular verbs in the past. So let's continue. All right. Situations that use the past simple. Okay, so like I said, completed actions in the past that are done. But there are also repeated events and sequences of events. And the reason I'm going quickly here is I'm going to show you some examples of each of these. All right. So for completed actions, I finished my homework yesterday. It's done. You're finished. The homework is done. She called her friend last night. They talked and whatever they did, it's done. Then we have repeated past events. We went to the beach every summer. Or he visited his grandparents every weekend. And then we have sequence of events in the past. I woke up, brushed my teeth, and ate breakfast. Or they arrived, had dinner, and watched a movie. These are examples of completed actions, repeated past events, and sequence of events. All right. And when you are doing exercises or even just talking, li- listening, talking, reading, or you're in school and you're doing a quiz on the past tense, remember the key words yesterday, last week, 2 days ago, last year, this morning, last night. I think you get the idea. Keywords that indicate, hey, this is the past. All right, now we're going to get into the past continuous. I see nobody's in chat. Okay. I mean, this is a stream, so I am more relaxed and feel free to ask whatever you want. All right. past continuous. Now with the past continuous, the verb, you have the verb is formed with the was or were, so the be form in the past. And then the verb ends in ing. And past continuous describes actions that were in progress, that were happening. There's an example right there, were happening at a specific time in the past. All right, so situations to use the past continuous would be to describe actions that were ongoing. It also could be describing two things that are happening at the same time, or an interruption. Uh, I was watching TV when the phone rang. Would be an example of an interrupted action. All right, moving on. Common time expression. So we have time specific expression at 8 p.m. This is when a particular time in, so for example, at 8 a.m. I was getting ready for school. This is what I was doing at 8 a.m. While that connects to, okay, simultaneous, or two things happening at the same time, highlighting or showing the ongoing activity. So for example, using the getting ready for school, while getting ready for school, I was listening to some music. That would be an example of the use of while. You're getting ready for school and you're listening to music in the past. But while getting ready for school, I was listening to some music. And when? That would introduce a moment that maybe was interrupted or happened during what you were doing. When I was getting ready for school, my friend called. So yeah, those are the three examples for time specific, using while and using when. All right, let's compare. We're comparing the simple past and the past continuous. Here we go. Key differences, which I've talked about already. The simple past, it describes actions that have been completed in the past and are no longer continuing. Past continuous, ongoing actions or background events occurring at a specific past time. And you have the time it happened, when, while, which I just went over a minute ago. All right, in context now. So, the simple past describes completed actions, right? I watched TV. Past continuous describes an ongoing action. I was watching TV. But it can also be in something interrupts it. I was watching TV when you called. And if you really want to use all three examples of what I talked about earlier, at 8 p.m., I was watching TV when you called. Or you can use while. While I was watching TV, you called. All right. Here are some. We have common mistakes. Sometimes the people might not use the was were in the continuous form, or they might use was were in the simple past form. That would be one way. So yeah, try to avoid mixing those up and remember when to use simple past versus ongoing past action clearly. If somebody asks, what were you doing at 8 p.m., then you would use the continuous form. I was watching TV. What did you do at 8 p.m.? You could use either. Oh, at 8 p.m., I watched TV. Or I was watching TV. Here's a couple of activities. Uh, so these are reminding you again about the simple past usage and the past continuous usage. So let's look at the fill in the blank to see if you remember anything here. So we have yesterday to the store, day, a movie last night when the phone, while I breakfast early this morning, he soccer on Saturday, we are grandparents. All right, I'm just gonna just wait a little bit, just like a minute. You guys can just look at it, think about the answers, make some notes, whatever you want. This is a stream, so if you have any questions, I'm here. Okay, so should be simple enough. Let's see, yesterday. So it happened yesterday and it's over. So yesterday, she walked to the store. Okay, they, a movie last night when the phone. Okay, what were they doing when the phone did this? Well, they were watching a movie last night when the phone rang. Okay, here's an example. Remember that when I was talking about past continuous, time specific, interruption, and while. Here's a perfect example. While I was eating breakfast early this morning, what did I hear? I heard a dog bark. You could also say I heard a dog barking. Uh, but that's a different form of uh, continuous. Uh, okay, and the last two happened in the past and are done. And when did they happen? On Saturday and last weekend. He played soccer on Saturday, and we visited our grandparents last weekend. Yeah, that's it. Move on. Sentence transformation. All right. So, practice transforming sentences between past, present, and future tenses to understand meaning, shifts, or changes. I will be doing a stream soon on future continuous. Uh, observe how tenses alter or change the context and meaning of a sentence. In storytelling, you can mix them up. You can use the past tense. Of course, that in the storytelling, it describes the action that happened at a specific time and is done. You can also use the continuous here. In storytelling, even though it happened in the past, you will sometimes read or hear it being used in the present tense. That gives it a more immediate feel, and it also makes it feel more engaging. And of course, in storytelling, there's also the mixing both the past simple and the past continuous, mixing them both up. This, of course, enhances storytelling, but yeah, these are examples of the past tense in storytelling. Now, in conclusion, uh, mastering the past and past continuous improves clarity and expressing, past actions. And of course, with practice comes confidence. The more you practice, it doesn't, no matter what it is, the more you practice, the better you are and the more confident you feel. So, as you can see, it's the conclusion of the stream. So, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next stream. Bye.